We are studying 5 chapters on what we say the truth or existence, 5 chapters on consciousness, 5 chapters on bliss or ananda or the permanent happiness. That is our real nature. So, if you recall, we have been talking about and understanding that real self is beyond, transcends waking, dream, and sleep state. Our real self that is what every master says. They give a different name. Whether you say it's a real self, it is absolute existence, consciousness, bliss. Tell me one thing, how many times your mind really desires real self during the day? Don't answer me, answer in your mind. It's a heavy snow. Kate is looking behind, peeping into the window. Do you see that?
Contemplating my permanent consciousness.
Yes, yeah, permanent consciousness, looking at the snow. Right. So you see that there is now should be an understanding in our mind that it is self-existent. Before I take up the more verses, I want to give a break so that you can easily understand the verses when I take up in the next session. So, real self is self-existent, self-evident, unchanging. So, what do you mean by unchanging? Unchanging means no action, no ignorance, no desire for anything outside. You have to reflect on it. Self-existent means it exists by itself. It exists by itself. It exists by itself means what? Body does not exist by itself. Body, the shape and the name exist because of the food. David, everything is okay? Sound? Oh, good. I corrected before. I asked Sam to check it. So you see that? What we are trying to understand in today's session, that how many times the mind actually desires that I want real self. And the moment I want real self, that is self-existent, that is unchanging, that is self-evident. It doesn't need anything to validate its presence. But the moment you want to validate the presence, that desire falls into the category of I have to perform some action, I have to make some effort. I think you're getting it. Because real self is of the nature of peace, happiness, love, and wisdom, as rightly stated by Kate. I agree with you. You see, that is the nature. So it means there is an absence of pain, attachment, duality, expectation. That is what our real self is. So then what happens? So when we think, speak, and live our daily life, we live in ignorance because we desire something outside and project happiness outside. And in order to fulfill the desire, we have to perform a karma or action. But what the master is saying, Master is saying it is an effortless, natural. Real self is already here and now. Why are we are not able to realize? Because of ignorance. So what we are trying to understand, because of ignorance, desire pops up in the mind. And because of the desire pops up in the mind, we have to perform an action, but the action is never complete. I give always an example of a honey. You give the best to your honey and check if the honey is fully satisfied. You give the best to your boss and check if the boss is fully satisfied. You eat the best food, check if the stomach is now, oh, I am full now, no problem at all. I don't want anything. That is what we need to understand. So when I have an understanding that action cannot lead me to realize the real self, and action is caused by the desire, and the desire is caused by the ignorance. Trial. When I understand there is a permanent happiness, what do I need? Why the mind should wander? Why the mind should be distracted? Why? And if it is distracted, it is because of this trial. That is what the master is going to explain in the future verses. So you see that is where we have covered a couple of topics. That waking state, dream state, sleep state. One common factor is there, that is consciousness. If the consciousness is not there, then no thought, no object, no knowledge of an object is there. First thing. And second thing, objects keep changing. Now I'm happy. No, you see that? Your mind says, I'm happy eating pasta. You have overeaten. Stomach says, I will tell you, go home. I'll tell you, no worries. You see the dichotomy in the mind? I had a desire to eat pasta, to be happy, but the stomach says, I will make you unhappy. That sort of awareness should be there in our day-to-day life. So consciousness is only one, it is a common factor. Object changes. So when the object changes, desire for the object changes, thought changes, level of the pleasure changes, everything is constantly changing. But I am the real self, which is an unchanging identity behind it. It's all a matter of awareness. When I live into that state of awareness, we understand that these sleep state, dream state, waking state, they continue, they change the object, they change their experiences, they have their own demands, but there is behind one consciousness, and that is our real self. I used to study, there is an American proverb, the ignorance is bliss. I think I'm right. You might have read it. Ignorance is bliss. In Eastern wisdom, we say ignorance is suffering. Ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is suffering. You're lying down in the woods, you're enjoying, and then you feel a very good touch, and that touch gives you a bliss. Later on, you realize it's a snake. Ignorance is bliss. We know. We say ignorance is suffering. That needs to be rightly understood. Because all our actions originate from that ignorance. First, there is an ignorance. What is that ignorance? Ignorance is a sense of incompleteness. I don't feel happy. Let me eat pasta, or let me take a drink, or let me go ahead. You can add millions of things. Let me have. That's our casual approach, isn't it? In our day-to-day life. I'm not feeling good. Oh, let me grab. So the moment, that is ignorance, it causes the desire to feel the sense of completeness in object outside, but object does not contain the peace and happiness. So first level is ignorance, second is the desire, then I engage myself in all kinds of actions, and action is never complete. And that's how I become fully busy. Do you see that? What do you mean? So we should stop doing every action? Who thinks like that? That is also another level of ignorance. So what do you want to say? No, I mean to say what master wants to say. That needs to be clearly understood and settled in the mind. So when you settle yourself so ignorance is gone from the mind, and now the desire is not binding. Desire is not binding. And then what happens? What about your action? Action is a play and fun. You become the best Hollywood actor. You do your action all the time. But you does not carry any impression in the life. So you are always free. In that freedom, you realize your real self. Let me do it again. Let me do it again. So ask the question, what exactly is the cause of my action? Obviously, first is the ignorance. From the ignorance, the desire. Without desire, we do not do any karma, any action. Without desire of seeking something outside. Outside means I am unhappy. I feel incomplete in myself. I'm unsatisfied. So I desire means mind desires to get something to be happy and to be satisfied. I was thinking in the morning, take an example of Elon Musk, or now Elon Musk has gone up, and the Bill Gates. Is the happiness that we experience inside depends on the amount of the wealth or the object that I possess? Is the happiness that Bill Gates and Elon Musk experience is different from the happiness that I experience? No, it is different. He has 50 cars. So it means you are claiming that happiness is present in 50 cars. I'm talking about happiness within. Happiness is experienced inside, not outside. Happiness is the same. Experience of the pleasure experienced by the mind is the same. Think. We have to reflect on it. The greater the reflection, the mind calms down. Why mind calms down? Because mind drops the ignorance. Oh, the 50 cars cannot bring me the happiness. Happiness experienced by the Elon Musk and the Bill Gates is the same that I experience. Come on, so I can experience happiness here and now. I'm asking, there is another question. Can there be happiness and peace without desire and action? And there we solve this problem of ignorance in the mind. Think, can there be happiness and or peace without desire and action? Some will say yes, some will say no. We already have an experience. In deep sleep, we experience peace and happiness. There is no desire, there is no action. Do you agree? So now the solution is that, can I live consciously in that state? In that state, consciously in that state where the action and the desire do not touch me, in a waking state. So what is the solution? Solution is simple. I am not the body. Continue performing an action like a Hollywood actor who plays a role of a criminal, and he goes back to his home and his wife looks at him, oh, there is a criminal. No, it's a role. He knows it. He understands it. Understands the deeper principle. When body and the mind are not there, I experience deep sense of peace and calmness in deep sleep. But how do I feel the sense of body and the mind during the waking state? Because I feel I am the body and the mind. I'm the body, I'm the mind. I don't feel your body is me and mine. This is what Master says is ignorance. Desire in ignorance. Let me repeat it. Desire is in the mind. I want to act to fulfill that desire, but desire is caused in the mind seeking happiness outside, which is not there. What is the reason? The reason is ignorance. I don't see that real self is made up of the peace and happiness. The reason? 3 levels: ignorance, desire, action. It has dealt deeply, almost in more than 50 verses in Gita. Gita is one of the most famous texts of Eastern wisdom. But again, the next question comes, we cannot live without action. Life is action. What is causing action? Ignorance and the desire. So what is causing confusion? Ignorance is simply confusion, delusion, wrong notion. What is the wrong notion? Wrong notion is that I am the doer and I am the enjoyer. We mixed up I with the body. I am not the body. It is 100% sure that we are not the body, we are not the mind. But body enjoys. Hunger belongs to the stomach, not to me. Thirst belongs to the body, not to me. But I mess up my life. I say I am the doer. I am happy eating the food. Stomach says, I will tell you later. You have overeaten. Mind says, no, I will eat this food. Stomach says, I will not digest. Do whatever you want to do. Mind says, I'm eating only vegan. Stomach says, I'm not made for that vegan. Do whatever. I understood from one medical doctor in India that we take food supplements, a lot of vitamins. So he did a couple of research studies. He said only 5% of the content of these food supplements are assimilated by the body. The rest goes out. And that can be met by selecting with the wisdom that what is required with the body. So again, I'm coming to the same question. How should we do karma? Let us do all the karma in our daily life as a play, as a role play. You are before your husband, play a role of the wife. But that play is not a fun play that you are focused. You are ready to give little more than expected. You are an employee, do your role. Play your role so that this I-ness attached to the body performing the karma should not create any impression. Are you getting it? It's not very deep, but it's still deeper. Still deeper. So that doership and the enjoyership is absent in the mind. And you are still doing every action. What a beautiful way this master explains. When we were kids, our parents said, see, look at the plane that is moving. It's a toy plane. We agreed. We accepted. No, it's a plane. But when we became adult, then we realized it's not. It's a toy plane. Same thing. There's a lot of understanding, even if the mind is in the doubt that how can you say I'm doing the action? I'm not doing. Hand is doing the action. Throat is, larynx, body is performing an action, but I am not the body, so there is no doer. I am simply aware before, during, after the action. I live from moment to moment. I recognize there is only one consciousness behind all my actions. I leave the role of a doer and the enjoyer. I drop the ignorance. I am settled in. Now you can easily answer that what causes this action as a doer? Do you have an answer in the mind? It is attachment. Emotional dependence. There is nothing more than that. You beautify the body, you decorate the body, existence says, now the time has come. I heard a beautiful story that a guy asked the shopkeeper, where is the permanent home? Do you recall? I have told you that story. So that shopkeeper says, go straight, turn right, first left. That is the permanent home. So he followed and he found the cremation ground. Permanent home of the body is the cremation ground. It's not my permanent home. Did you get it? Permanent home of the body is cremation ground. So their master opens a Pandora box that, okay, what causes this action? What causes me to perform the action, remain fully busy all the time as a doer and the enjoyer? Because I will do it and I will enjoy it. How many of us we enjoy doing the work maybe in the organization? How many of us we enjoy doing those actions in our family? If you examine, it comes from the attachment. Simple logic. I go to work to get the pay, but happiness, possible or not possible? Happiness is possible if I perform my duty, my work as a role. Finished. Play your role all the time. Find out. When you play your role, you are doing good. You will find out the mind does not have that burden to carry. I'm only scared. I feel the sense of incompleteness. I have worries only because I am the doer and the enjoyer. And that comes from the ignorance. First, ignorance, desire that projects the happiness outside in the world. Then I continue to perform the action. Why? Last point, and then we'll ask yourself why we always say or we feel we are awfully busy. My previous action is not complete. Did you take it that? My previous action is not complete. But who feels that my previous action is not complete? The doer. And who is the doer in you? Who is attached to the body and the mind? Today I will love you, honey. Then I will have total happiness. No, again you feel the sense of incompleteness. I have eaten pasta today and I like it. Next week again I will go because my action is not complete. Think. Any action, if it is complete, give me. But if you drop the burden, if you drop that I-ness of a doer and the enjoyer, you simply play your role. You drop the burden of dissatisfaction, of insecurity, of desire, of projection. Mind is free. You live in the body and the mind without the body and the mind. This is what. So you have to contemplate and reflect so that we can go deeper in the future teachings of this master. Let us start our journey. Eyes are closed. Eyes are